More than 1 in 3 people will face cancer in their lifetime. Unfortunately, fear can stop you from getting your cancer screening, but it won't stop cancer. Early detection can save your life. Don't wait for symptoms to appear to act. Cancer screening is safe, effective, and accessible for everyone, including free or low-cost screening programs. Go to cancerscreeninfo.com right now for free screening resources and recommendations from the American Cancer Society. Don't wait. Early detection can save your life. Go to cancerscreeninfo.com today. Cancerscreeninfo.com.
At Kroger, we know the holiday season is going to be special for everyone. So use the Kroger app to get personalized coupons, weekly deals, and rewards like fuel points. That way you'll get all the fresh holiday specialties you love at prices that are lower than low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
And now you'll find more ways to save on your favorites. When you download digital coupons, you can use up to 5 times in one transaction. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Welcome back to the Sports Ethos DFS Today podcast, or welcome if this is your first time listening. I'm your host, Mike Apatra, joined by my good buddy, Haaris Kermani. It means it's a wonderful Thursday. We're here to break down this 5-game slate. It's December 2nd, only the second of the month, Harris. A lot of season left in this year, but how are you, my good friend? I know you went to that Raptors game last week. How was it?
I mean, the actual experience is pretty cool. I mean, I really, really enjoyed the way the Indiana arena is set up. What's called the Gainbridge Fieldhouse now. It's almost like I want to say like a Coliseum. No seats were bad, but we were 11 rows right off the major area. There was a couple of Raptors fans around us. That made it fun. You know, we had a good start, but then after that, it just got bad. The offense stalled, and I think I got cussed out by a couple of Indiana fans for being a little too rowdy. But it's okay. I'll take it. It was a good time.
Are you a drinking rowdy or a natural rowdy?
Yeah, just natural rowdy.
Okay, all right. I'm a drinking rowdy. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm pretty quiet and humble if I'm watching like a Mavericks game, and all of a sudden I get a few beers deep, and all of a sudden I'm screaming my head off. I gotta learn how to control myself a little bit, but I think they serve the beer for a reason. I think they want their fans a little rowdy. At least that's what I tell myself, and how I explain myself to my girlfriend if she's embarrassed of me, but. Nonetheless, man, I'm glad you had a good time. The show missed you on that Monday, but we got it done, and ready. You've been stewing now for a whole week, so I'm expecting some big things from you tonight on this 5-game card. But before we, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I said, yeah, absolutely. I'm ready to rock. Got caught in a snowstorm on the way back, but I'm ready to heat it up now.
That's it, and that's a far drive for you, right? Well, we said it was like 8 hours. So when I just said it, I imagined it was like a home game, and then I totally forgot you said you were going to Indiana.
Yeah, it was about 8 hours. We had a stopover in Detroit where a bunch of families over there, so we got to stay overnight there. Cut it off about halfway there, but yeah, no, it was cool, and it was Black Friday, so got a little bit of shopping in as well. Can't complain.
You maniac! You're going out on Black Friday, but we're going off the rails. We'll jump right into this. Quick shout out to our presenting sponsor over at Manscaped, guys. Head over to manscaped.com. Use the promo code HoopBall20. You get 20% off your entire first purchase plus free shipping. So if you've been waiting, if you've been wondering what the best male grooming kit out there is, it's at Manscaped. It is their perfect package kit, which comes with the Lawnmower 4.0, the conditioner, the toner, the wash. The light on the thing is illuminating. Harris, illuminating, so you can see all the most important regions and parts that you need to. It's also quick charging and waterproof. Comes with the nice compression short boxers. Everything you need in that perfect package kit, guys. Check it out. Get your 20% off. Get 2 of them. Buy one for another gift for somebody for the holidays coming up. And use that promo code HoopBall20 to get 20% off plus free shipping. So we got 5 games to talk about, my good friend. We're going to jump right into everything. We got Chicago Bulls traveling to New York to take on the Knicks. For the Bulls, Kobe White has been ruled out. He's in health and safety protocols. Patrick Williams remains out. The rest of the guys in the G League. For the Knicks, RJ Barrett is questionable. He left after only 9 minutes with an illness. Couldn't tough out that game. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Obviously, that would have pretty significant impact on the rotation. As far as a game total and a spread, we're looking at a 214 game total. Chicago being favored by 2 points in this one. I will pass it on to you. Lead us off here with the Bulls.
Absolutely. And even though we're in the Garden, this is probably the one game that out of all these five is one that I'm just a little bit iffy on just because of the pricings that are out there. We saw with Kobe White out, the minutes pretty directly went to Javonte Green, who went ahead and played 36 in the last game and really just went ahead and had a cardio session, put up 3 shots in that, put up 19 DK points. But at his price tag, he's probably still something of an interest just because of that small forward eligibility at that bargain barrel price tag. But yeah, the problem is Vooch, who I was really interested in probably coming into the night, had a 62 the game before in Charlotte, had the best game of the season, is looking like he's getting back into the groove, got priced up by about 1,000 on here. And there's just a couple of guys in that 9,000 price range in this tag, in this entire slate that I'm a little bit more interested in than a little Vucevic here. But I wouldn't fault you for going ahead and putting that in because he is going to have a good time. Mitchell Robinson is terrible. Who cost him the last game as well. Probably won't get too many minutes there. Nerlens Noel as well, just can't hang with him. So I just like the matchup for him to be able to go ahead and put up big numbers again. I don't know if he'll necessarily do too much more than potentially 5x on his 9,300 salary, but I'm going with him as my main guy. And DeMar, he loves the MSG, I'll tell you that. He's a guy who just always finds a way. When he was at the Raptors, it's the same thing. Puts up big nights in the Madison Square Gardens, but at $9,000, just a little bit too expensive for me to recommend him. But watch, it's going to come up and sock me in the face because he's going to drop to 50.
Yeah, listen, I'm kind of right there with you. I like these guys. I like the matchup. I don't like the price tags. There's a lot of value. I wouldn't say it's great value just because a lot of the value that we've been playing is getting priced up, but they're still in comfortable spots. But not comfortable enough where you can start throwing in multiple 9K guys. There's a couple spend ups that we might want to look at on this slate as well. So, again, right with you, wouldn't fault you to go there. The one guy I want to keep an eye on would be Alex Caruso, which rolls right around in that 5K guard carousel that we're going to talk about all night long, where there's 5 or 6 guys that are very much in play in that price range. But with Kobe White out, he should be back right into that close to 30-minute role. He's already been playing about that 25 and sometimes even 30, even with White in there. But he'll be that backup point. He'll be the backup shooting guard. I'll probably handle both of those. So 5,200, I wouldn't mind him. Don't know his Madison Square Garden numbers. I know everybody's pretty much increases when they come to Madison Square Garden. It's a great place to play, but wouldn't shock me if he puts on a show. I think he's just a fan favorite no matter which city he's in. So I'll be looking at a little Caruso. Could be a decent Lonzo Ball bounce back, but I don't really see myself necessarily going that way at 72. I'd really want 40 DK points for him to pay it off. And if he could do that in my GPPs, if you get 35 of them, you'll take that in cash. But we want 40 in the GPPs. I just don't like these price tags, and that's bottom line and what it comes down to. So probably just Caruso for me. On the Knicks side of the ball, we have a lot to look at, a lot to monitor. If RJ Barrett sits, we'll probably see plenty of Alec Burks, plenty of Quickly, plenty of Rose. We saw Quickly play 38 minutes and Burks play. I think he played right up there as well, the 38, 39-minute mark. And I think that these guys are going to get good run, but a lot of that was due to Barrett only playing 9. So we got to keep an eye on that because Fournier's minutes didn't really move. It was mostly point Burks, but he was playing from the small forward position, and they could run that 3-guard lineup if they wanted to. They may very well do that again if that happens. We know Chicago doesn't play very big at all, so I think all 3 of those guys are in play. I think Rose will probably be fairly chalky after playing 34 minutes and putting up 37 DK points. But another one of those guys, him Quickly in that 5K guard carousel. I think I prefer Rose just simply because he's going to have higher usage than Quickly. And then Alec Burks at 65, now that he is the starting point guard. As long as this dude's going to be taking 18 to 20 shots, he's going to be in play even at that price range. I hope people get slightly scared off of him. I still love that he has that small forward eligibility. I think me and you always talk about it. It's an ugly position to pay for. And having the confidence of a guy that's actually playing point guard in your small forward slot, it's pretty, I was going to say overwhelming, but it's pretty whelming. We'll go with that. So I think all 3 of those guys are very much in play. It's not a bad Randall spot. We know that they're kind of weak at that power forward position. They don't really have the body to put on him. So I wouldn't shock me if he has a great game. So I definitely see myself having some decent Knicks exposures. In some of my lineups, I'll probably have 2 of them. But I think at least having 1 is going to be a must on this slate.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. That Kemba Walker in benching or whatever you want to call it at this point has really cleared up a lot of these minute situation. And yeah, I've always loved Alec Burks just as a player in general, but him getting that opportunity to essentially play 2 to 3 different positions for the New York Knicks has made it so that, as far as I'm concerned, until he gets into that mid 7K range, I'm totally happy taking him on a night in, night out basis for this New York Knicks team. He's definitely playing the major point guard role, and he's even staggering a lot of the bench units as well. So it's just a lot of usage to be able to go around. So he's 100% in play for me. And as you said, between Quickly and Rose, I personally don't like Quickly's just lack of diversity as far as his stat line is concerned. I know he got 7 rebounds in the last game. I don't expect him to be able to do something like that again, but it really all comes down to whether his streaky shooting hits it. And in the end, I'll just rather depend on Derrick Rose. And hey, it's Tibbs. Tibbs will play Derrick Rose until his knees fall out. So you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Tibbs loves his guys. We've seen that plenty of times. That's why Taj Gibson's still in the NBA. We'll move on to the next game, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time game. Milwaukee Bucks traveling to Toronto. You going to this game?
I am going to this game. Ready?
Of course. Why
see a butt whooping up front.
Yeah, who's gonna never miss out on? I haven't seen Giannis play live yet. That's next on my bucket list. I'm looking at tickets for the January 5th game to see Steph Curry live for the first time. It's also Dirk's retirement. So his jersey retirement. I think we all know he's already retired. Not to get off the rails quick, but my girlfriend, funny story about it. She tries real hard to get into sports with me sometimes. She loves going to games live. And she texted me. She's like, "Oh, did you know Dirk's retiring?" And I went along with it. I was like, "Oh, is he really? Yeah, he's retiring on the 5th." I'm like, "Yeah, midway through the season, he's retiring." She tried hard. She saw it probably somewhere on social media that they were doing his retirement. And, she brought it up. But again, she tries. Love her to death. But just his jersey, babe. Just the jersey. So we got the Bucks traveling to Toronto, taking on the Raptors. Bucks on the second half of a back-to-back. OG has been ruled out. Ken Burch is ruled out. Goran Dragic, as we know, is not with the team. And then Gary Trent Jr. is questionable. I'd be pretty shocked to see him play. They said it was a deep bruise. And deep bruises, they tend to linger. They tend to be like at least a week to 2 weeks. So keep an eye on it. He's already missed, I think, about a good week as it is. So could be getting close. But no injury report for the Bucks just yet because of the back-to-back. So we're going to have to wait and see on them. Maybe they rest Giannis. Who knows? It's a 2:30 game total. Bucks favored by – oh, I'm sorry. That's tonight's. No game total available yet and no spread yet. So I'll pass it over to you. Talk about this Bucks team. Are you paying the $12K for Giannis on this slate?
I'd love to say yes, just because of the situation and how he always ends up putting up big numbers against the Raptors. And he's definitely not going to rest this game because – for those who don't know, there is a massive Greek community in Toronto, and I swear he gets like a hometown heroes recognition every time he comes in, which is why every Torontonian was hoping that in this last free agency, he may be looking at the Toronto Raptors for that. But obviously it didn't work out. He got his extension, got his championship, so he's a Bucks lifer. But with that in mind, the only reason I'm kind of avoid Giannis here is just because of how injured the Raptors are. It's just one of those things where we're seeing that their offense is just stagnating without an OG, without a Trent to be able to have any sort of release valve as far as that's concerned. So I just don't think that they'll be able to put up the points to hang with the Bucks, which is why I'm just going to be fading Giannis on this one personally. I may have a little bit of Drew just because I like his price tag, and he's likely going to be able to pay that off just in even the 3 quarters that he plays. He's getting great usage, and the numbers are finally coming around as far as his shooting percentage is concerned. 4 straight games of 50% or more, even though his 3-point shot isn't there. But the dimes are back, the rebounds are back. Altogether, his diverse stat line is really starting to show again. So I love him at a 7,400 price tag, and that's probably where I'm going. And if I'm banking on this game, not necessarily being as close as I otherwise think, I may start to look a little bit further down. Maybe a little bit more. Grayson Allen will get to play. Obviously, we've seen his usage take a little bit of a dive since Chris Middleton's gotten himself back into the groove of all things. But he'll probably get a little bit more shots in there. We're seeing DeMarcus Cousins play tonight. I don't know if he plays the other night, but if he doesn't, then maybe we'll start to see a little bit more Jordan Nwora again as an opportunity as well. So, those bargain barrel options may potentially be there if you're banking on a blowout. But I'm fading Giannis altogether.
The holidays are doubly important this year, so make your celebrations doubly special. At Kroger, we've got a huge selection of high-quality meats on top of fresh, natural produce, like fresh, never-frozen prime-grade beef and our Simple Truth Organic Brussels sprouts, or delicious king crab legs with our private selection gourmet potatoes. Whew, had to say that doubly fast. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Get more ways to save at the Buy 5 or More Save $1 each sale. Just buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
More than 1 in 3 people will face cancer in their lifetime. Unfortunately, fear can stop you from getting your cancer screening, but it won't stop cancer. Early detection can save your life. Don't wait for symptoms to appear to act. Cancer screening is safe, effective, and accessible for everyone, including free or low-cost screening programs. Go to cancerscreeninfo.com right now for free screening resources and recommendations from the American Cancer Society. Don't wait. Early detection can save your life. Go to cancerscreeninfo.com today. cancerscreeninfo.com.
See, I'm not sold on fading Giannis just yet because it's a small slate. I'm probably going to be fading a lot of that Phoenix-Detroit game. I just don't expect it, even without Devin Booker, to stay all that close. And raw points are going to matter. Even if Giannis plays 3 quarters and he gets you 50 at 12K, there's probably only another handful of guys on this slate that could potentially get you that. I think DeJounte Murray, we'll get to him, is probably my favorite spend up. But I think the raw points are going to really matter with Giannis. So I'll probably do a couple builds where I have them. And if I do, believe me, I'm going to probably have to run it back and plug my nose and play some of your Raptors over there. But, sorry to throw some shade at you, man. But I think the other builds, though, you're absolutely right. This might be a cross-off for Giannis. So I imagine myself only coming in at probably 25% ownership as far as how much I'm going to have in my lineup, 75. But not just a complete fade, because I think, just the raw points are definitely going to matter. If this game happens to stay close, he's going to be a slate winner. Other options on this team, probably not much I'm really looking at. Middleton just hasn't been able to get much going ever since he came back. It just looks like, he's struggling and just finding his own self on this court. He does not look the same. The shooting has been fine. It's just the aggressiveness has not been there for him. We're used to see Middleton take somewhere between like 15 to 20 shots a game sometimes, and it feels like we get one of those games every 3 or 4 games. So not getting much done. I'm probably going to take a pass on Middleton at 72, and then Bobby Portis at 71. I just think is slightly too expensive. So I think it's just Drew. I think it's just Giannis for me and nobody else. I'm not going to even pay the 45 for Grayson Allen when we have that 5K guard roulette that we're going to be talking about, and I think we already talked about 3 or 4 of those guys, but. On to the Raptors side of the ball. Van Vliet coming in at 8,900 is just a little bit too priced up for me. So I'll probably take a pass on Van Vliet. Siakam at 87, I think it's a little too priced up for me. The only real guy I'd probably look at is if we see our guy Gary Trent sit again. Looking at V at 45, looking at Watanabe at 35. I think both those guys would be rock solid options. 3-pointers have been able to just bury the Bucks in the past. That's why this would have been a picture-perfect spot for Gary Trent if he is able to suit up. Even if he does play, I don't expect him to get full minutes necessarily in his first game back, so I probably would avoid that situation. But those would be the 2 guys I'm really looking at and I'd keen in on. And that's probably about it for me. And I think Yuta might be the best-case scenario type of player because even if this game gets out of hand, he'll only see extended run.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Nick Nurse has made no secret about how much he loves Utah in general, and he's always been looking to play him more minutes just because of his defensive versatility. Played 29 minutes in the last game against Memphis, closed out the fourth quarter as well. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see more of that. And at anything under 4K for him, I'm going to be pretty happy taking him, especially now that pretty much Boucher is out of the lineup. Kem Birch still reigns out. So he's really, outside of Siakam, the one big that they're going to be relying on. And obviously Scotty Barnes is kind of just all over the place. He's going to be my other guy that I'd be looking into. At 7,500, he just continues to be a guy they're force feeding into his development. He's getting a lot more point guard opportunities. You'll see they'll run a lot of lineups where they have the entire bench and him run the point. So he gets the opportunity to rack up a good amount of dimes over there as well. So 7,500 is not a bad spot. I think he'll still get to his 35, 36 minutes, which will allow him to get somewhere close to 40 and pay it off. Not a bad spot for a GPP side of things, but yeah, it's between Watanabe and Scotty Barnes, and that's about it.
So I've been pronouncing it wrong, which I'm notoriously known for doing with a lot of players, so I do apologize. So can you say his name one more time for me so I know for the future? Because I assume you're there when they announce him.
Oh, it's also another side thing. I'm like into the Japanese language. I spent a good bit of time learning it. So, but yes, Yuta Watanabe is his name.
Watanabe. Good to know. I feel like I just said it with a Japanese accent. I do apologize. I probably butchered that still. Next game, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. OKC travel to Memphis. They are taking on the Grizzlies. For the Grizzlies, Kyle Anderson is questionable. John Morant, as we know, going to be out for a few weeks. He is out, and then Zaire Williams is doubtful. No injury report for OKC. They are on the second half of a back-to-back. They're taking on the Rockets tonight. This game's coming in at a 215 game total. with an 8.5-point spread. By the way, I didn't mention the spread in the last one. It's 217. Milwaukee's only being favored by 4. So that might be Vegas thinking that they know something that we don't. And that kind of has me thinking that there might be a little bit of Giannis sitting. I get the Greek community thing. I'm Greek. I mean, if I now I know I could go to Toronto. But I just don't think that spread's realistic at -4. If I'm anybody, I'm probably still taking Milwaukee, even if Giannis sits. But we'll start off with OKC here. A lot to like. We know Josh Giddey is going to miss the next 2 games, including tomorrow, as we record this night before. So he missed tonight's game. He's going to miss this game due to an illness. And we saw Trey Mann start. I think that's just a great spot to look at value. 3,600. Probably going to be a very, very chalky value play. But if he's playing 30 minutes, it's kind of hard not to get some shares of him. I'll probably just eat the chalk and play a bunch of them. No issues there. Outside of him, I think it's a decent spot for Shea. Not a big slate where we have a ton of decent spend up options. I think I prefer him over all those Raptors guys for the discount. He's going to get a ton of usage, and with Giddey out, he's going to be the primary point guard as well. So he's really been playing primarily shooting guard this season with Giddey handling the ball a lot. He's going to be handling the ball. Gives him that little bit of a boost in his assist numbers, as we know assists pay more than rebounds on DK. So I do like some Shea, and I do like some Trey Mann. Probably all I'm really going to be looking at, but I wouldn't fault you if you wanted to look at a guy like Jeremiah Robinson-Earl still. He's having a good game tonight. It's just a little bit of a tougher matchup going against Memphis as opposed to Houston.
No, I agree completely. Those are the major guys I'm looking at. Robinson-Earl, again, I just always find myself playing him more often than not. I just like the upside that he brings. I mean, he's shooting enough threes to be able to give that little bit of versatility to his stat line, even when he's not getting close to double-digit rebounds, which he does more often than not. So it's just a nice spot to add 4,400. And again, Memphis, it kind of depends on how much I decide to run with, Steven Adams or that kind of situation, because otherwise they aren't that big on the inside. And they've been finding less minutes for him because you can see they're trying to go towards more of a small ball lineup and really developing some of these young guys that they have going. If that happens, I actually think this is going to be low-key one of the best games for DraftKings slates tonight. It's probably going to be a high-scoring one, not too much going on as far as stars are concerned, so prices aren't too bad. So I'm actually going to find myself with a decent bit of exposure on the OKC side for sure.
All right. Ready to slide over to Memphis?
Yeah, absolutely. Memphis itself, again, the Ja Morant situation, in many ways, while terrible, I hate seeing that Ja is out. It's just cleared up so much usage for the other big guys as far as Memphis is concerned. I mean, Jaren Jackson just continues to be a guy that, I liked regardless, even when Ja was there, but obviously he showed in that last Toronto game that he's going to be okay to be essentially the first option guy on this team with Ja out. Dropped 45 in that game, has kept himself by and large out of early foul trouble. He still gets himself into foul trouble late, which is where he got those 5 fouls, like 3 of them were in the fourth quarter, but it's enough for him to keep himself into that 30-minute range, which is really all he needs to potentially be able to drop 40. And if his 3-point shot gets going, as it does often in bursts, he can find himself with a 50-point game pretty easy. So between Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane, who's the other guy I've always liked, he's consistent, probably more of a cash play than a GPP one, but he has the upside again to be able to do a little bit more than that too. And even though his price is up slightly at 6,400, he's still more than comfortable in his price range. The real question I have, again, going back to that 5,000 guard roulette, is the DeAnthony Melton one, who, even though he played just 17 minutes in the last game, but he got 13 shots up in that one, was able to get 10 rebounds. You can see he's just a lot more aggressive on the inside to be able to rack up those counting stats quickly, being the energy guy. If he can even get himself into 22 to 25 minutes, which honestly he should be with Ja Morant out, he should easily pay that off. And in GPP, I think I'm going to take a dart throw at him for a couple of my lineups and see how he does.
I think he's a great GPP pivot off of some of those other options, just because people are going to look at the minutes and they're going to look at the game logs and say, why would I pay $5K for a guy playing 18 minutes when I could pay $5K for a guy playing 30? So I think that's a good option in GPPs. I'm glad you brought it up. I think Tyus is a great player as well. Tyus doesn't do much of the scoring. He's just mostly a steals and assist type guy, but shot the ball very, very poorly in that last one, only 2 of 10. If he ends up shooting 40%, all of a sudden we're looking at, close to 30 DK points. It's a great matchup. You said it. It's going to be probably just a run and gun type game, back and forth with very, very little defense played. So I think both those guys are very much in play. At Desmond Bane, I'll keep it real. I think all these guys are in play. I don't love the Dylan Brooks price tag, but this dude's just going to continue just to be a usage hog as long as Ja Morant's out. He was kind of a usage hog even when Ja Morant was in. But Not going to do much as far as any of the ancillary stats. And at 7K, I think we have some better, 7K price tag. I'd rather just pay for Jaren Jackson at that point for $100 more, a different position, understandably, or go down to Alec Burks at 65. So I don't see myself falling on him, but I think all these guys are very, very much in play. It's going to be hard for me to probably land on too much Bane or Brooks just because of other guards and other small forwards that we do like on this slate at similar price tags or cheaper. But I think this whole Memphis side of the ball makes for great pivots on a lot of these other options that will probably be pretty chalky. So I'll keep all those main starters in my player pool. And if Kyle Anderson happens to sit, I think this might be a decent like John Conchar spot in your tournaments. Yeah, I'm not sitting here saying play John Conchar everywhere. Not what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll reiterate that. Yeah, I'm not saying it, but it's a pivot. It's a dart throw for building multiple lineups, that sort of thing, because he's a dude that can handle the ball. He can play a little bit of the backup point guard, and they'll also have no problem with playing him at the 2 or the 3. So very versatile guy who's got a decent jump shot as well. Moving on to the 4th game, Detroit Pistons traveling to Phoenix. They are taking on the Suns. For the Pistons, Killian Hayes is available. Kelly Olynyk still ruled out. And then for the Suns, Devin Booker has been ruled out, left hamstring strain. We saw that. Frank Kaminsky out. And then, obviously, the major James with Dario Saric, Abdul Nader. Both those guys are out as well. As far as a game total and a spread, we'll check this out. It's 208. Phoenix only being favored by 13 right now. Nothing big. But we'll start off with the Pistons here, man. I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, and this is one of those where, again, it's that $5,000 price range where a couple of guys come into potential play for me. One is more out of principle than anything. I just can't look past a guy playing 35 minutes a game and getting all the shots that he wants, even if he can't hit anything, which is Sadiq Bey. I mean, it's one of those where I've gotten burned more times than not, but it's just at 5,500, sorry, he just happens to be a guy that with that power forward, small forward eligibility just continues to be one that I look at. But more so than that, it's Isaiah Stewart. Clearly, he's going to be in a matchup facing up against DeAndre Ayton. They're going to need the size. They're going to need him to be able to crash the boards. And to his credit, he has been crashing the boards quite well over the last 2 out of the last 3 games. 2 double-digit rebounding nights in that. And more so than that, he's also just finding himself more and more attacking as far as the paint's concerned, and he's getting himself into those free throw attempts. In the Portland game, he got to do a lot of that against Yusuf Nurkic and then against the bench guys. Even if this game happens to go lopsided, you can see he's still going to get somewhere close to 30 minutes just because they don't have anyone else to go ahead and play there. So he's probably my main guy. I don't really like the Cade Cunningham or Jeremy Grant just because of that potential spread situation. They're probably the guys who will end up sitting for the bench ones coming out. But Isaiah Stewart's probably my most liked guy as far as the Pistons are concerned.
Yeah, and he's a guy that even if he gets 23, 24 minutes, it won't burn us. If he puts up 24, 20 to 26 DK points, that's not going to sink us. We'll, especially in a 5-game slate, we'll be able to overcome that. And if he gets 30 plus for some reason, we're looking sitting pretty with that. So I don't mind Stewart, and I don't think I'll probably play anybody else. I think the one other guy I think we could take a look at would be somebody like Frank Jackson, where even in limited minutes, this dude's going to continue to chuck. He doesn't do anything outside of score. But at 3,700, if you need a dumpster dive play, a dude that's taken double-digit shot attempts in in 4 out of the last 5 games. Most of those in under 22 to 23 minutes as well. So I don't mind looking at him, even though it's very unsexy. It doesn't overwhelm me at all. Don't love it, but he's in play. And then sliding over to the Phoenix side of things with Devin Booker ruled out, there's obviously a lot to like and a lot we can look at here. Cam Johnson's probably going to be the number 1 option for a value play. I think a lot of people will go to him at 4,200. Played well in his absence, but ended up playing 29 minutes, 10 shot attempts, put up 27 DK points. So I think he's very, very much in play. Probably won't be spending up too much on these other guys just because I don't trust the spread. But that's going to be a trickle-down usage with Devin Booker out. We're going to see Bridges taking more shot attempts. We're going to end up seeing guys like Campaign play a little bit more as well. So looking at all these guys at that like 4K price range down there, even Landry Shamet, if you need a dart throw, came out and played 24 minutes against Golden State. So pick your poison. I think between Shamet, Payne, Cam Johnson. I think Cam being the safest and chalkiest one out of all those guys. I think all 3 of those guys are going to be options I'm keeping in my player pool.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think pretty much from that 4,300 all the way to 4,000, which is Crowder, Cam Johnson, Campaign, JaVale McGee, all those guys are potential guys who will get themselves having a pretty decent run for especially their price tag. I actually think I might be playing a decent amount of JaVale McGee just because I expect him to play more than the 8 minutes he got in a small ball lineup matchup. And this one, they're going to get a little bit more size on there, and he probably gets the opportunity to be able to put it up. We know that even if he plays 18 minutes, he's just absolutely going to be able to rack up 25 to 30 without a problem. So that's really all that is. He's a good pivot as long as you assume that the game is going to go the way the spread is. And any of those four, up to Jared Crowder all the way down to McGee, I think are good options to stay away from the big guys.
Yeah, and if you do end up playing somebody like Chris Paul or DeAndre Ayton, you're probably best and wise to run it back with somebody on Detroit, like a Grant or something, because if those guys get a full workload, that means for some reason this game managed to stay close enough where it's going to be due to Grant or Cunningham. Those are the two primary offensive options that take 20-plus shots a game. It wouldn't be because, let's say, Frank Jackson went buck wild and kept this game close. If it is, fantastic. Good for Frank. Final game of the night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. San Antonio Spurs traveling to Portland, taking on the Blazers. Damian Lillard is going to miss the next 10 days. Nasir Little still out. Norman Powell is questionable with the right quad contusion. For the Spurs, only real guys that we need to talk about, Zach Collins remains out. Doug McDermott's probable. Devin Vassal's probable. And the rest of the guys are in the G League. 220 game total. So this is, I believe, the highest game total of the night that we have so far. 3.5 point spread being favored to Portland. I already kind of alluded to it before. DeJounte Murray is probably going to be the guy I'm paying up for, 9,800. You just know you're getting a very comfortable floor. You're getting a high enough ceiling where it's 60 points. It wouldn't shock me if it's the highest scorer on the slate. And it never, he never burns me, unless, of course, you say you like him, because I think the only time that we've ever both liked him, he put up what he done. So just tell me now. Just break my heart. Say you like him as well, so I can just cross him right out.
Oh, man, more than like him, I was going to say he's my favorite pay-up guy on the slate, but now I'm like, I can't say it because he's going to drop 23.5 on me again.
Yeah. All right,
we're in trouble, man. Exactly. It's just an amazing matchup all the way around. I mean, Portland is not going to defend a fly, yet they're still going to put up points on their end, regardless of Dame playing or not, because they've got enough chuckers on the other end to be able to get those points up, and we're going to get a chance to talk about them. But yeah, DeJounte Murray at 9,800, definitely in play. And say your boy Derek White is finally putting up those back-to-back 40-point games. Where is he back in play for you at 6,300? Because he is for me. I mean, he's got 21 shot attempts in that one, 16 in the one prior to that. Even if Devin Vassell ends up coming back, I just think that he's all about him getting into a groove. It was never a situation of him not getting the usage. It was just much like the Chris Middleton situation. Just be more aggressive. You've got the minutes, you've got the usage. Go and actually do something. And I think he's finally doing it. And at that price tag, I'm interested in taking him as well.
Yeah, so I don't mind him. I just almost feel like I'm chasing. I didn't have any of the shares of him in those 2 40-point games. And to hop on a 5-game slate, I think he's going to draw crazy ownership. And I don't think I'll probably be underweight on him. I'm still going to have like a share or two, very similar to like my situation with Giannis, where maybe in like 25 or 20% of my lineups, I'll have some Derek White. But it would probably be off of like DeJounte Murray. I don't think I'd play those two guys together. I am a little worried about Vassell and McDermott both playing. It's just, guys in this lineup that are going to take some extra shots that weren't there in those games that he was going buck wild. So I'm a little cautious, but I'm optimistic. So cautious and optimistic, probably still be a little underweight. I'm sorry. Anybody else on the Spurs team? Are you looking at Pirtle? Are you looking at Keldon? Anybody else?
So Pirtle is one where I'll probably end up looking at just because I think I'm going to go for Nurkic on the other end. And if that happens, I think they're both going at each other all night long. So it all comes down to my lineup makeup. He's not my favorite big man on the slate, but I think if I'm going to be going Nurkic on the other side, I will be going with Pirtle as well for a couple of them.
Okay. We'll slide over to Portland then. Big news, obviously, with Dame out. It's very similar to Booker being out. It's going to be a trickle-down usage effect all over the place. Mccollum all the way priced up now, 8,500. So makes it a little tougher to, just swallow the pill. It's still a fantastic match for him. He took 26 shot attempts in that last game. And that's the big key right there. And the matchup, it's still a very good one. It's not necessarily Detroit, but it's still a very good one. So at 8,500, I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, that puts him in the likes of his own tier. I mean, would you rather pay the 81 for Shea or the 85 for McCollum?
Yeah, and I think that's the decision that one has to make, because I do expect this, as you said, to be the highest scoring game of the night, and CJ is just going to have to keep shooting regardless if they're going to try to keep into it. So It's one of those 50-50 situations. I don't think you can go wrong either way with them. And CJ having that shooting guard eligibility makes it a little bit nicer. Again, that shooting guard that can be the primary ball handler for a team always makes it that little bit easier to swallow that pill. So I'll probably lean towards CJ if a gun was put to my head between the two. But honestly, I'm more interested in going with the value options that are over here. I love Anthony Simons at his price tag. As long as he remains below 5,000 in this situation, he's going to be absolutely awesome. He's dropped 3 straight games of close to 30. Last one was 29. He's getting double-digit shot attempts, and more importantly, he's getting a little bit more ball handling duties as well, rather than just the off-ball shooting that he'd been doing for pretty much the majority of the season. So probably a bit of a chalky pick. It's going to be between him and Derrick Rose for me as to where I want to go in that night. Maybe I'd be leaning towards Rose just because I think his usage will be a little bit higher, but I don't think you can go wrong with either one. And then beyond that, it's just, as you said, trickle-down usage. I really like Jusuf Nurkic in this matchup. I think he'll get the opportunity to get his minutes closer to that 28 to 30 rather than the 24 that he plays against teams that are a little bit smaller, a little bit faster. And he'll get a little bit more shot attempts as a result of that, because they're going to find himself in a slower situation against Pirtle, get himself a little bit of opportunity in the post. He could probably rack up a couple of dimes there as well. So just a lot of diversity to like in his stat sheet. And he has the upside to drop 40, so I'm good with him anytime he's below 7,500 personally.
I'm with you. He's actually my favorite center on the slate. So outside of, if you're playing like a Julius Randall at the center position, I think he makes the most sense. If you can go down to Pirtle, you just talked about him for 900 less. I think Pirtle's probably got the safer floor, but Nurkic's ceiling is easily the highest in this price range for this slate. For games that are going to be high scoring, stay close. This feels like it's got 40-point Nurkic written all over it. So I'm on Nurkic. I'm on Simons. I'll have some shares of McCollum. I'm not going to go overboard on it. I think he's going to be a guy that's very highly owned, and for good reasons. Don't get me wrong. 26 shot attempts, the usage, playing point guard, doing a lot of good things. So don't mind those 3 guys. And, even maybe taking a stab at, it's painful to do, and nobody loves putting Robert Covington in their lineup. But we saw him take 10 shot attempts in that last game, 6 3-pointers. He's always going to get steals. He's always going to get blocks. And if he's going to be taking 10 shot attempts, he only played 24 minutes in that game, and he ends up hitting close to that 30-minute mark, you can pay off the 4K price tag. But there's plenty of value that we've already talked about. But most of the value that we did speak about is at the guard position, which is what the decisions are going to have to be made. Which guards are you playing at the 5K mark? I mean, when push comes to shove, you can play 4 guards at most. And we already talked about wanting to play Murray, and we're going to try to get a couple of those value plays in there. So we're going to have to spend up in certain spots, and that's why most of my builds are coming out with more of like a Julius Randall and DeJounte Murray and almost leaving McCollum off, and then just taking my exposure with like Nurkic and Simons in this game. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way my builds are getting based right now. They could alter, they could change. I mean, things are going to happen. We haven't seen Powell get ruled out just yet. He's still questionable. If he sits, that's probably the way I'm going to go, and then I'll pivot off of him in a few of them. I'll play McCollum. I'll play Shea. I'll play some of these other guys as well, but Gotta pick your poison, man. We can't get all these guards, and it's going to be a painful decision to make, because at the end of the day, we're probably going to be like 1 or 2 guys off, and it's going to be like, well, kicking yourself. I should have built a couple more lineups.
Yeah, no, 5-game slates are always like that. That margin for error is just so small, but I think there's enough options in which the floors are pretty safe that I don't think I'll get burned. But watch me come back tomorrow just crying as well.
Well, we talked about DeJounte Murray, man. We're getting burned. We both like it. It's happening. It's not, you can't avoid it, man. It's like Final Destination. I don't know if you've ever seen those movies.
Oh man, love them.
Yeah, you can dodge it all you want. You might get away this time, but it'll come full circle. It's just got to take out a few more people, and then it'll be right back to us. And 28.5 DeJounte Murray points later. We're talking about this on Sunday's show. But that brings us home. Let's get down into our player tiers. Give me your expensive tier. I wonder who it's going to be.
Yeah, well, since we've already spoken about DeJounte Murray, I'm going to be a little bit more, and just to go ahead and say that CJ McCollum becomes my expensive guy then. I said the shot attempts are there. His floor is about as safe as you can get. When Damian Lillard's not there, he's probably going to play most of the point guard situation as well. So just so many spots there. I just can't see him not getting close to paying off that value. I mean, if he gets below 40 in this game, I'm going to have to eat my hat. But he would be my favorite expensive one, if not the other guy.
All right, then I'll do that too. I'll go with Julius Randall. I like Randall a lot in this matchup. I don't love the forward position also so much at power forward, so you can even plug him in there at center. So I think Julius Randall should And he's coming into this game pissed off. I don't know if anyone heard his post-game comments about how, he doesn't get fouls called on him just because how strong he is. This is a game that is at home. It's a get-right game for him, for the Knicks. I'm expecting a nice little bounce-back game from Randall. So, mid-tier price range. Go ahead. About 55 choices.
Well, I'm just going to have to stay on brand and stick with the guy I just always love on Memphis, Jaren Jackson Jr., 7,100. He's going to be the first option on this team. He's got all the capability in that price tag to be able to drop a 50-point night if even a little bit of his 3-point shooting gets on track as it can, because he always hits them in bursts. If he's hit one, he's going to come back and shoot 3 more in a row. So you're going to get the opportunity for him to have a big scoring night. And the stocks are always there. He's got 7 blocks in the last 2 games, 5 in the last one, and he's just going to be in a situation where there's just going to be run and gun, lots of rebounding opportunities, lots of blocking opportunities, just everything to like about him having potentially another 50 DK point night.
I like it. I'll roll with Alec Burks, 65. I hope with the price increase that people get slightly scared off of him, but he should have no issue paying off that price tag. With the usage he's getting and the ball handling responsibilities, Tibbs going to run this dude to the ground until he can't walk anymore. So at 6,500, being able to play him at small forward, I think is the biggest deciding factor for me, and I will definitely have some exposure to Alec Burks. And then we have the value tier, my friend. Plenty of options, again, that we could choose from.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you can go wrong with a number of them. I'm going to go ahead and say, since I'm going to be there watching, I'll get to see Yuta Watanabe up front, 3,500. I think he's going to play somewhere close to 30 minutes again. They like him getting more and more of those 3-point opportunities. He shot 8 of them in the last game, and he hit 3 on there, got himself to 19. I think he has an opportunity to be able to do a little bit more than that as he continues to find himself in a lot of lineups for Nick Nurse. And for 35, go ahead and plug him in. I think he's got the safest floor out of all these cheapies out there.
Watanabe, got it now. I'll go Trey Mann at 36. I just love you said safe floor. I think he's got that. I think he's got some decent upside at that price range. We just saw him drop 30 not too long ago. He's going to start most likely in place of Josh Giddey again. A great matchup going against Memphis. So 3,600. I'll have some Trey Mann. He's going to be a little aggressive with the ball. It doesn't provide too much ancillary stats, but if he can score 12 to 13, 14 points, chip at a couple boards, all of a sudden that price tag's already paid off. So I'll go with Trey Mann, and that brings us home, my friend. That is everything. So thank you guys again for always listening. Sports Ethos DFS Pod. Follow us on Twitter at Mike Apotria, MikeApotria. Harris, let them know.
Absolutely. As always, at HAK_Devil. I see a number of people did go ahead and follow me this last week. I guess it's just a train that starts moving. Got a couple of comments on there. It's great. I love it. Keep bringing it on there, and I will see you on the Twitterverse.
Yeah, if you're not following them, just jump on the train. I didn't get on the Derek White train quick enough. Don't miss the Harris Kermani train. Jump on it. And then give us a thumbs up, a 5-star. I saw another 5-star review in there. I seen it. I appreciate it. So if you guys have the time and you can just take a quick minute out of your day and go throw us a 5-star review, leave a nice comment, maybe things you want to see us do differently. I mean, I mentioned all the time. Only reason we have a player tier segment is because somebody went in there and asked if we do it more. So we do it every show now. We're trying to make this for you guys, trying to make the best product that we can. So let us know what we could be doing better. Let us know what you love. That way we can continue doing it, and we greatly appreciate it. And then get the DFS pass over here at Sports Ethos. I mean, it's the only way that you can get in this Discord. I'm in there every single night, an hour before lock, and I'm answering questions. We have a number of our DFS writers and pros in there that we're answering questions. We're dropping, injury news, how we're adjusting, who our highest owned players are at the end of the night, our lowest owned, who we're fading. Everything you guys are looking to hear right before lock, we're talking about in there. So get that DFS pass. If you need some more information on it, feel free to message me. I'm happy to help you, and it is well worth it. Only $4.99 a month. That's it. It'll pay for it in the first night if you win. So head in there, get the DFS Fantasy Pass. We'll be back tomorrow. It will be Santino Cocone taking on the slate all by his lonesome. He's going solo. Thank you guys for listening. As always, take care. Let's go take down some tournaments.
Some coffee's fast, but not fresh. Some coffee's fresh, but only after a long wait. Speedway coffee is made fresh at the push of a button, hot or iced, so you can have fresh coffee your way, right away. Find a store near you at speedway.com/locations.
They are people just like you. People who heeded a call and played a role in history. You may not think of veterans that often, but America wouldn't be America without them. So why not take time to honor their bravery, hear their stories, and see the faces behind the forces at the National Veterans Memorial and Museum in Columbus, Ohio. It's a moving and inspirational experience you and your family won't soon forget. Plan your visit at nationalvmm.org.